Star Wars 7x7, episode 1937. Today, we're ranking from 7 to 1 the most shocking moments in the trailer for The Rise of Skywalker that debuted Monday night. Punch it! Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. And so, without further ado, let's dig into the most shocking moments. I'm going to tell you one that I'm not including and the reason why, so we'll just start there. And that is the shot of what is going to be the Resistance fleet and the Millennium Falcon swooping in front of it and then flying off. The reason why I'm not including that one in the 7 most shocking moments is because it didn't debut in the trailer. It actually showed up in a teaser for the trailer prior to the trailer being released. So that's why you're not going to hear about that one on this list. Otherwise, it would probably maybe make top 3 in my estimation at least. But this, of course, is going to be a list that might be reshuffled based on your own opinion. So if you think that there was something more shocking than I did, then by all means, let me know. Our 7th shocking moment is the moment when we hear Carrie Fisher's voice say "always" at the end of the trailer. And the reason I say that it's shocking is because I don't think any of us anticipated hearing any dialogue from Carrie Fisher at this point. So even though it doesn't necessarily bear too strongly on the events of the trailer, it still packs an emotional wallop and was definitely something that was not expected. So there's number 7 on my list. Number 6 would be the throne room face-off between Rey and Kylo Ren. And the reason why it's shocking for me is based on a couple of things. First of all, Rey's the only one with her lightsaber lit. Ben isn't, and it does make you wonder whether he's still in possession of his lightsaber or if something else is going on. We also see, based on the stuff around them, that this appears to be the throne room from DS2, from the Death Star that was above Endor. Yes, we don't know for sure whether there was a similar throne room on the original Death Star, because obviously it wasn't operational long enough for us to get a good look around or anything like that, and the Emperor wasn't able to make a visit in a timely manner before it was blown to smithereens. So yes, either DS2 or some unnamed DS3 that was in the works, maybe. This is all, brand new supposition. But anyway, very interesting to see the two of them in the old throne room. Now, my number 5 moment has actually dropped a few places because this is the one that when I saw it last night, my brain was like, what is happening? And I'm saying last night on the recording because this, of course, is being recorded on Tuesday for Wednesday's show, so don't get too confused. The moment where we see all of those space horses riding on top, and running on top of what appears to be a Star Destroyer, and Star Destroyers flying off in the distance, and based on the perspective, it looks like whatever they're on top of is actually also up in the air as well. For me, that was the moment of, what is happening? And being utterly unable to put a thought into how this is entirely possible. I had someone suggest to me that maybe it was possible because the Star Destroyer that we see breaking through ground earlier on in the trailer, maybe this was a situation where there were horses on top of the ground that the Star Destroyer rose up from, in this particular one, and that's why there are horses running along the Star Destroyer. It's certainly a very possible situation for it. But be that as it may, ultimately I don't think it's my most shocking moment anymore. It was when I first saw the trailer, or when I first saw it half a dozen times, but no longer. Moving on to number 4. For me, that's going to be this shot of Rey and Kylo Ren destroying what appears to be the pedestal on which the melted mask of Darth Vader sits. And there's something about that scene that I did not notice in multiple viewings last night. And that's the fact that Rey is actually holding a dagger of some sort in her other hand. So she's got one hand holding the lightsaber and another hand is holding a dagger. What's that about? And I've looked at the footage frame by frame, and I cannot see anything similar in Kylo Ren's hand. He has his lightsaber, but whether he has anything in his other hand, it's very difficult to say. But why is Rey also holding a dagger? That seems to be very strange indeed. And, it is shocking in its way, but it's more shocking, I think, because of something that happened prior to it in the trailer, and so that's why this one is getting pushed down a little bit further. I would say my third most shocking thing has to be the line with 3PO and him saying that he's taking one last look at his friends. I feel like on the one hand, this is a situation where we could easily be being played by Lucasfilm, getting them to make us think, oh my gosh, something really bad is going to happen to 3PO in this movie. And then you start to think, oh no, they wouldn't ever do that. This has got to be, some strange quirk of the trailer. And that's how they're going to mess with us because, oh no, it's not just some strange quirk of the trailer, that they're actually going to do it to us. So yeah, that sort of, well, he's thinking what I'm thinking, that he's thinking that I'm thinking, and yeah, you could spin your brain into infinity over that whole business. And I've wondered whether the dialogue could have been reversed. Either, the "at my friend's" line takes place before the taking one last look thing, and if the two statements are ultimately unrelated, I don't know, but I don't know how long protocol droids are supposed to last in service, but 3PO has been active for quite a while, and he was being built from spare parts anyway by Anakin, so yeah, this is scary territory in its way. The second most shocking thing for me was Palpatine in the chair. Now, this is a bit of a presumption because obviously this was shot over the right shoulder of the chair, and so you're just seeing a little bit of, the side of his hood and hearing the laughter in the voiceover, so even then that might not be accurate, but there's this weird movement about the chair that isn't the camera moving, it isn't the perspective of the shot or anything like that. But it seems to very strongly suggest that Palpatine's return is in physical form, and that is mind-blowing. And as I've mentioned before, we have talked about potential ways that Palpatine could come back for The Rise of Skywalker. There are a lot of different options, but the fact that we seem to be being given information that this is in physical form is really creepy and kind of heightens the sense of danger about the situation, which also then directly leads into what for me was the most shocking thing about the Rise of Skywalker trailer, which I will share with you after the break. Stay tuned. Hey Rebel Rouser, I've made some changes to the asteroid belt level at patreon.com/SW7X7, and they are all with sponsors in mind. So if you want to get the word out about your business, your product, your service to a dedicated Star Wars audience, then please check out patreon.com/SW7X7 and look for the asteroid belt level for details. Again, that's patreon.com/SW7X7. Welcome back. So for me, the most shocking moment of the trailer is the voiceover from Emperor Palpatine where he says, "Long have I waited, and your coming together is your undoing." So yeah, we talked about this in yesterday's episode about what he could actually be referring to. Is he referring to Rey and Ben coming together? Is he referring to the Resistant Fleet coming together? Is he referring to Rey and Chewie and Poe and Finn being together on this mission? Because that's the part of the trailer where we hear that voiceover happening. Yeah, it seems more like a Rey and Ben situation, but there is something that occurred to me about this while I was sleeping last night and letting all of this churn inside my head. And it's the notion that he could actually be talking about not just the Resistance fleet, but the Resistance and the First Order coming together in one big fight. What are the chances that Palpatine has somehow orchestrated a situation where the Resistance and the First Order would smack each other around to the point of being vulnerable for a takeover by a third party, i.e. the Emperor? That, yeah, I woke up with that one and thought to myself, okay, well, I don't know if this is necessarily any more legitimate a possibility, but knowing how devious the Emperor is, well, my goodness, that seems certainly like it could be a possibility, because he is not somebody who is going to sit back and let the First Order run the show, right? I mean, if he is coming back into power or hoping to come back to power, then he wants to be the one running things. So this First Order business, I don't know, maybe he decides to do what Snoke did and take over the First Order. At least that's just generally what we seem to think happened with the First Order as it was developing, that Snoke just managed to swoop in and take over the joint. Maybe Palpatine is looking to do the same thing. Not sure, but whatever it is, the fact that he is seeing something develop in the midst of the rise of Skywalker and thinking to himself that that's going to be the thing that gets him fully back into power. Oh man, I know Palpatine's been wrong about how Luke's faith in his friends was his weakness, and yeah, it's possible Palp is wrong, but it's possible Sheev is right as well. So there you go, my top 7 most shocking moments from the trailer in my preferred order. But again, I would love to hear if you think there was a moment that was more shocking out of the ones I listed, or if there's one that I skipped that you think was particularly shocking by comparison. By all means, let me know wherever you catch the episode or at homebase at sw7x7.com. And that is going to do it for this episode of the show. Thank you so much for joining me for it, as always. And may the Force be with you, wherever in the world you may be.
This podcast is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox. It is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other related Star Wars items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2019 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.